And welcome to English Literature Pathshala. I am Professor Ajay Kumar Shukla, interacting with you after a long time. Uh, so many students come to me when they are applying for PhD program, and they tell me how confused or nervous they feel about writing a research proposal. Uh, or what you call synopsis. They ask questions like what should be included in a synopsis? How do I frame my research questions? How long should it be? What is the right structure to follow? So I thought let me make this video to help all of you. Today I'm going to explain how to write proper synopsis, what is its structure, and how you can present your ideas clearly and confidently. Now, in order to explain it to you, I'll take one example, say from one writer called Toni Morrison. I have just taken it as an example, uh, Nobel laureate, African American novelist. Now, what should be the first point in your synopsis? The first thing is number one is title. You should decide the title, and the title of your research proposal, your synopsis should be clear, precise, and reflect your research focus. Before coming to this title, you ponder over that, think over that, read a lot of material, then you come to your final title. So I'll just begin with it, that in synopsis, first write the proper title. The title should be clear, precise, and reflect your research focus. In order to explain the point, just I am taking one title of the synopsis, that is from the novel of Toni Morrison, and the title, for example, is Memory, Memory and Identity, uh, Trauma and Narrative, Fragmentation, Fragmentation in Toni Morrison's novels. For example, this is the title of uh, my synopsis. Uh, as I have told you, that it should be clear, it should be precise, it should reflect your research focus, and a good title tells the reader immediately what your research is about, as is clear from this title. Now, you begin writing the synopsis of your thesis. Like, synopsis is basically what you are planning to do in your research. So begin with introduction. Introduction, or you can say background. This will be the first point after the title. Say the first heading in your synopsis. Now, what will you do in introduction? This section introduces your topic, explains why it interests you, and provides a brief context, historical, literary, or cultural. For example, I just took one example from Toni Morrison. Say you'll just, begin with the Toni Morrison. You write about Toni Morrison, and then you will say the Toni Morrison's novels explore African American identity and trauma through fragmented narratives, reflecting how personal and collective memory shapes identity. And then you write, this one paragraph, just one page or less than one page. That will be the introductory part of your synopsis. The next point is objectives. Objectives. After introduction, you should clearly state what you aim to achieve. Like, for example, you'll write, say, 5 to 6 objectives. Like, for example, if you are writing your synopsis on this particular title, which I have just uh, suggested you. So, in objective, you will say, for example, number one, to analyze how narrative fragmentation depicts trauma in Morrison's novels, and to explore the role of memory in shaping identity. I mean, these are the objectives. You will begin with two, to analyze, to explore. Now, after that, the next part will be review of literature. Now, how do you know, or how can you explain or defend your synopsis to the examiners, for example? Because you cannot say that I have just selected it without reading the literature. You cannot decide that you will work on this particular topic. So this section of the synopsis, which comes at the third part, is called review of literature. It shows what other scholars have already written about your topic. Uh, I mean, don't just list authors. Explain how their work connects to yours. For example, this topic which I have selected, you can write that scholars like, Kathy Carruth discuss trauma's narrative disruption, and then you will give the example of, other, critics also. You will also the examples of the other writers who have worked, on the novels of Toni Morrison, especially focusing on this particular area. So you will say review literature. You will review articles, for example. You will review books, for example. And after, I mean, you will mention that these writers have done such and such kind of, the point. What comes after that? After that comes number 4, which you can say research gap or statement of problem. Now, after reviewing the literature, you need to define the research gap or the statement of the problem. This explains what is basically missing in current research and how your study will address. And this way, your work is going to be different from the existing literature. Like, so many writers have done the work on the novels of Toni Morrison, maybe on different aspects like, race, gender, and all that. And you have explained all these points in review literature. Then you will say that here lies the gap. Here lies the gap. And that is why I'm going to work on that particular topic. Now, after that, next point is research questions. Research questions, or you can call it hypothesis. Hypothesis. You will frame the research questions, or you will, hypothesize. Like, for example, as the topic I have selected, uh, I mean, on Toni Morrison, you will, for example, uh, write research question or hypothesize that how does Toni Morrison use narrative fragmentation to depict trauma? Or the next, you can say, what role does memory play in identity reconstruction in our novels? Now, these are some research questions, are, hypotheses. You will write 6, 7 hypotheses, 6, 7, research questions. Now, next point is number 6 is, uh, you can say, theoretical framework, or you can say research methodology. Now, here in this part, you will explain the theory you will use and how you will apply it. Sometimes some researchers don't give any theoretical framework, so simply write research methodology. Uh, but generally, what happens that you try to apply critical lens to the text in order to make it more effective. For example, I mean this topic which I have suggested you. This study employs, you can say, Kathy Carrott's trauma theory to analyze Morrison's novels. And then you will say that through close textual analysis, it explodes narrative breaks and non-linear timelines as a representation of trauma. That you can do. Or if you are not going to apply theoretical framework, simply write that this I'll be applying the qualitative methodology, focusing on the text, the close reading of the text, comparative method, and all. Sometimes you collect data also, then you can say quantitative methodology I have adopted. If you are collecting some data in order to prove the point, and sometimes both qualitative and quantitative with a mixed methodology I have applied to uh, uh, do my work. Then after that comes significance of the study. That will be the concluding part. That you will explain why your research matters. You will, for example, the topic which I have selected, you will say this study contributes to trauma studies by revealing how Morrison's fragmented narratives portray African American women's trauma and memory. After that, after significance of the study, you will write bibliography. Biblio In bibliography, you will write the primary sources and then the secondary sources. So this now see very quickly what are the important points which you have learned so far. You just see this slide. You remember that the length of the synopsis should be usually 2000 to 3000 words, and but you should always check your university's guidelines. You should always follow the bibliography pattern. It's MLA style sheet, which we call Modern Language Association. Uh, the pattern is that you will write the surname of the writer first. Like in Toni Morrison, you write Morrison, then comma, then Toni, then put period, full stop, and then write the name of the novel, Velvet in italic, and then publication vintage, comma, year of publication 1987. So this is the pattern. Now coming to the structure of this, what is the structure of this synopsis which you have learned? Title first, and then introduction, and then background, then objectives, then review of literature, then a research gap or statement of the problem, then research questions, and then theoretical framework, then significance of the study, and then bibliography. So this is actually the structure of this, and where you will uh, you know uh, uh, title, write the introduction, then objective, then review of literature, then research gap, then research questions, then theoretical framework and methodology, then significance of study, and then bibliography. This is actually the structure. What you will basically remember while preparing the synopsis, that it should be like the language should always be very formal. It should be academic, because sometimes researchers use casual or conversational tone, but you should avoid it. Avoid casual or conversational tone in a synopsis. Use clear, precise sentences, and you should Always write original text. The matter should be original. Avoid plagiarism. Don't copy from others' proposals. Many universities check synopses for plagiarism. There should be proper formatting. Follow Times New Roman. 12 points. Spacing 1.5 or double, and margin should be 1 inch, and page numbers included. Keep your topic focused and achievable. Don't choose a topic so big that you cannot complete it in your research period. So, and the most important thing is that always discuss your proposal with your guide or supervisor before finalizing it. So, this much for today about the synopsis.